As the MEYIWA trial proceeds in the Pretoria High Court, a lot of things are, simply just unbelievable. Gwabeni is testifying before the Pretoria High Court, telling the court how he was assaulted by the police. And I think Baloyi tried to stand up. 3 times he tried to object as Advocate Nisi went ahead to lead Gwabeni in his evidence in chief. And Baloyi was visibly irritated by it all. Each time the court also tried to impress upon Advocate Nisi or to try and deter him from, pursuing that line of leading evidence in chief. But Mnisi was insistent. And I really think the day belongs to Mnisi, because Mnisi was quite adamant that this is examination in chief. I am entitled to go through every nook and cranny and to go through every single detail about what happened to this witness at the hands of the police. We have already seen how Gwabeni has rubbished a statement by the police, allegedly made by him. This is yet another incident that reminds me of Absalom Zungu. So they came up with a statement of their own, read it to him and wanted him to confirm it, so that perhaps he could, as a result of that or following that, then go and testify in court falsely along the lines suggested in the statement made by the police. It is a damning indictment on the investigators in this matter. Little wonder then that Baloyi was so irritated as Mnisi took Gwabeni through that evidence. But the most shocking thing of all, that just simply rubbed Baloyi the wrong way, was that at some stage, Gwabeni was taken by the police to meet with the prosecutors. And Baloyi was there. And in fact, it was Baloyi who said to him that you'll have to testify. In other words, you'll have to testify along the lines of the statement which Baloyi was in possession of. This is the same statement that Gwabeni had indicated to the police that he would not have anything to do with. So Baloyi simply just never even seemed interested in the assaults that, he told him about, and was just out to get him to testify. That is how the Senzo MEYIWA, investigation went. Assaults and people just, pieces of paper, statements just been thrown into your face, so that, false evidence can be used to convict innocent people. But for the first time in this trial, we are hearing of Baloyi's complicity. We are hearing for the first time from Gwabeni of Baloyi's complicity in the fabrication of evidence in this trial. Because here is a statement allegedly made by Gwabeni that Gwabeni is required to sign. The statement is read to him and Gwabeni distances himself from it. When the same statement, the same statement is then taken to Baloyi by the investigators, and the investigators then meet with Baloyi, the lead prosecutor in this matter. Baloyi then uses the same statement or confronts the same statement, confronts Gwabeni with the same statement and says, you must testify along the lines of the statement. That is complicity. Baloyi is complicit in the fabrication of evidence in this trial. Because why would Baloyi then associate himself with a statement that Gwabeni had totally distanced himself from? You see, after beating him up and doing all those things like, taking him to cemeteries in the middle of the night on a winter's night, they had completely failed to convince Gwabeni to change his mind, to play ball with them. And here now we see Baloyi come into the picture. How embarrassing it is for any prosecutor to be sitting there and to hear that, you're complicit in this kind of criminality. Because, Baloyi is not just, an observer in all these things. He's not just observing what is happening. He becomes directly involved because he plays the role of a prosecutor and tries to prevail upon Gwabeni to testify falsely along the lines of that statement. So this is why we saw this back and forth. This is why we saw a lot of back and forth between Advocate Mnisi and Baloyi, right? As Baloyi sought to bring to an end this examination in chief of Mnisi. Because Baloyi kept on saying, no, the witness has said all this thing again. I don't see why this witness has to repeat this thing. And Mnisi said, no. If the witness has to repeat things 20 times, he'll do it. He will do it. There was also a time when Baloyi tried to suggest that Mnisi was trying to put words into the witness's mouth. In other words, he was trying to suggest answers for the witness. Mnisi just brushed that away and said, what sort of answers have I ever suggested? I'm just asking this witness to elaborate the circumstances surrounding his arrest and handling by the police. So this is the first time in this trial that we hear of Baloyi's complicity, right, in this grand plot to sabotage, to sabotage justice, to get wrong people convicted for crimes that they have not committed. Having said that, let me thank you and see you in the next edition of the Daily Fix. And there are likely to be many along the way because so much is happening today. Thank you.